Hello everyone. So I just wanted to hop on here really quick and share something I shared on my Instagram. I wanted to expound on it a little bit more. And so this is going to be an inspirational video. Yeah. So I had to think about that because I'm overdue to do another small business advice from my perspective video, and I'm gonna do that probably right after this one. Anyway, this one is gonna be motivational. So yeah, so like a couple days ago I posted on Instagram about, well, I always post a lot about goals and organizing and goal setting and productivity, that sort of stuff. And I have been reading Think and Grow Rich, actually. That's what prompted this. And a lot of phrases, quotes in that book really stick out to me. So I'm probably going to do a lot of videos on that because I think it's valuable for people who haven't read the book. Like, I waited so long to read the book because I didn't know what the book was about. And it was totally not what I expected, or it is. I'm still listening to the audio of the book. I think it's amazing. So anyway, right now, this video is just going to focus on the concept of quitting and the fact that people are so apt to quit, especially in this microwave, instant gratification. I want it now. I don't want to put any work in and wait for it society we live in. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So, for a lot of us, the problem with setting goals and achieving them, you know, translation, the reason many of us are not where we want to be, and the reason many of us have gotten frustrated and maybe feel like, maybe our goals weren't meant to happen, or no one can be successful without scamming and manipulating and cheating. All these cynical thoughts. The reason behind that for a lot of people is just the simple fact that they quit. And that is a tremendous difference between those who are hugely successful. And we're not talking about people who inherited wealth or who inherited a position. You know, they got their position through nepotism or whatever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people who set out to achieve something and they did, and now it just looks like they're winning. A lot of times we hardly ever get to see the true struggle they had to go through to get there. And a lot of that involved failure, or what many of us would call failure. A lot of it involved wanting to quit. Some of it might have involved quitting and then coming back and working at it again. It might have involved life interruptions, all sorts of things that discourage the everyday person. And for people are really quick to say, oh, this is hard. It's a sign it's not meant to happen. Or, oh, I didn't pass this test, so I wasn't meant to be an accountant, or whatever you're trying to do. A truck driver, like whatever you're trying to do. When the truth is, failure is as temporary as well, let me not say it that way. Failure can be temporary, or you can treat it like it's permanent. And 9 times out of 10, failure is usually temporary. Probably more, let's say 9.999 times out of 10, failure is usually temporary. And if you would just get up again and keep going, you would get a little further, or you would find a different route to get to where you're trying to go. Or you might even realize that what you're trying to do isn't what you really want, or that, it doesn't make sense for you to do it that way. Basically, that there's something better, something that'll make you happy, or something that is more fulfilling, something that'll help more people out there. And you have to kind of travel the path you're on to realize what's next. You know, you got to keep straight before you realize you can make a left or a right sometimes, if that makes sense. You can't just like quit in the middle of the road. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when you should just, you know, I'm trying to think of some examples, but, people, now, here's the thing about this type of advice, like not quitting. A lot of times the wrong people will take that advice and apply it at the wrong time. If you're in a relationship where someone is beating you up, you need to quit. And it's not quitting, it's choosing yourself and wanting something better for yourself. If you are working for a company that's really just a giant Ponzi scheme, by all means, please quit now and go find something else. Find a legitimate company to work for. Yeah, a lot of like social situations, social relationships come to mind when I talk about this. But yeah, there's sometimes when you're just not doing the right thing, or you're not doing what's good or what's healthy for you, and you should choose a different path, or just like, you know, jump off ship and swim back to shore. But we're talking about times when it's, you know, like if you're working out at the gym and you feel tired after 5 minutes, probably not time to quit. It's not time to pack it in. It's not time to be like, okay, well, summer body's not for me. No, you need to keep working. Maybe like take a 30-second break, or a 1-minute break, a 2-minute break, drink some water, and then get right back at it. And that's true of life. So, sure, I'll tell a story about myself. I just said that like someone's asking me a question. But yeah, I guess I'll insert some examples, maybe just one. Let's see what comes to mind, because you know it's late and you know how my brain works by now if you've seen my other videos. But or how my brain works at this hour. I'm much sharper during the day. But anyway, so example, a lot of people don't know that I went to law school. And I self-prepared for the LSAT, but I took the LSAT twice. And they don't advise you to take the LSAT twice. They tell you, oh, well, your score is not going to improve much. So, like, if you, like, whatever you get is probably going to be what you get. I don't know how true that is. I don't think like that in the first place. Like, if I get a score on a test or something and it's not satisfactory, I'm going to figure out how to do better the next time. Or I'm going to try really, really hard to figure out how to do better the next time, and the next time, and the next time, if that's what it takes. So, also, they might average your LSAT. I don't remember. But I didn't do that well the first time I took it. Of course, I had never taken an LSAT in my life. I knew what was going to be on it, like the types of questions, but had never taken it. And LSAT is the exam you take. It's kind of like an SAT, but for law school. So it's an entrance exam you take when before you apply to law school. And the schools you apply to look at your test scores, among other things, and decide if they want you to go there. So yeah, I took it the first time, didn't do well. I was like, crap. Okay, well, I can take this expensive class, but I think I'm going to try to self-prepare, and I'm going to look for some tools and resources to help me. And I did that. I just found like a workbook in Barnes & Noble or somewhere. Now, I looked at a bunch of different options. I probably read some reviews or something online about it, because I do that. I do a lot of research. And I did that, and I did the exercises in the book. I don't know that I finished the whole book, but it came with like a little, this was back when, you know, things came with like a little DVD or a disc that you could put in the computer and, do exercises. It had that. I don't remember if I ever used it, but, I just kept working the program. And you know, I should throw in that, like, when I went to an elementary school that required us to take the SAT in 7th grade, and I'm so glad that they did, because I got to see what it was like to sit through the test situation. Because not only, when you're talking about test taking, I feel like this is going kind of onto a tangent, but like I'm illustrating a point, and maybe helping someone out there. Some of you are trying to get into school or whatever, but you know, there's the physical aspect of taking a test, like how you feel. You have to be able to sit there for all those hours. You have to be able to stay focused. You have to like prepare, you know, eat in advance, or like bring a snack you can eat on the break so that you won't be hungry, because that absolutely, nutrition impacts your capacity to take tests, your capacity to learn. I feel very strongly about juvenile nutrition and malnutrition, and of course, I believe in free lunch programs and things like that, because like kids need food, they need protein, they need vegetables, they need water, like all that stuff in order to be able to learn and to perform. That's another tangent. But anyway, back to the test taking. So I knew that from taking the SAT in 7th grade and then taking it again, maybe like in 10th grade, I took it, and scored a whole lot better. Not just because I had the actual classes you need, to take the SAT. Like, it goes up to level algebra 2 in math or whatever, and I hadn't had algebra 2 in 7th grade. And I had, my elementary school that I went to also was focused very strongly on vocabulary, and I didn't, oh wait, by 7th grade I would have had so like my English portion, the language portion of the test was much stronger than the math for me back then. And then they kind of evened out, and I did better, like a lot better, by 10th grade. And so that was kind of that. So in knowing that, I said, okay, I didn't really prepare for the LSAT at all, or at least not well enough. So I'm going to like focus on self-preparing and see what it does. And I'll leave myself enough time to take a course and take it a 3rd time if I have to, because I know I can do much better than this. And so I did the self-prep. I probably could have done a lot better, honestly. I was finishing up school too, like my last semester of undergrad. But I did it. I didn't quit after that first low LSAT score. That's the point. I didn't say, well, I could get a master's instead, or why don't I just find like a nice job, and skip the whole post-grad thing. Maybe being a lawyer isn't for me. I didn't say that back then. I found a way to get over that hurdle. Like, I believed in myself, but I keep coming back to this because it's important. Like, a lot of people may not have had, I am very privileged in that I had people who believed in me, and I had some great opportunities. And so I had that frame of reference and knowing that it's worth it to take a test more than once. And there are several different ways to approach test taking to prepare yourself. And so I did that, and I self-prepared, which is, I think among the people I know, it's pretty rare for preparing for the LSAT. Most people will take a course. But yeah, just me and my exam book, and I did pretty well, reasonably well, especially considering that I self-prepared, but I did a lot better than I did that first time, and I had a decent score, and I got into law school, and I got into a school that was ranked relatively high, and that was that. You know, the rest was history. That's some other, yeah, I'm clearly not a lawyer now. I ultimately decided I didn't want to be a lawyer, back then. But I say all that to say, if you encounter a hurdle, next time maybe don't quit. You know, take a little break if you need to, but you know, you have to have the resolve to keep trying to go over the hurdle, to reassess different ways you can clear it. A lot of times you don't succeed the first time in crossing a hurdle because you need to gain some life experience. Like for me with the SAT, you need to gain that frame of reference and to learn that just because this didn't work out the first time doesn't mean that it's not going to work out the second time. And I'll have this filed away in what I call the mental Rolodex. Although a Rolodex is for like addresses and phone numbers and stuff, but like, you know, in your mental file cabinet, that's a better word for that. You know, you'll have that filed away the next time you encounter like a new challenging thing, and you'll remember that time that you didn't know what you were doing, but you just kept trying, and you got over that hurdle, and you learned that you could do it, and that failure is temporary, which is the whole point in this video. So yeah, if you're unhappy with where you are, if you feel defeated, if you feel like you can't make headway, the answer to that is to keep trying, to keep evaluating different options, to do your research. I'm a huge proponent of doing research. The more you know, the more options you open up to yourself, usually. Because, I mean, there's more than one way to scale a mountain. You don't have to climb up on, like, the west side of the mountain necessarily. Or actually, maybe, I don't know. I don't think that's true, but I am not a mountain climber. And maybe, like, with the huge mountains, there is, like, one way. I don't think so. Because, like, you can climb Mount Everest in Nepal and in China. So, like, there's more than one way to climb a mountain. And there's more than one way to figure out how to get over that hurdle you're facing. That's my point. So that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to definitely probably bring, I'm going to be bringing back a lot of inspirational discussion points, content, whatever, as I make my way through Think and Grow Rich. And that's the book that I think I'll have it on repeat. It's so good. If you've not read it yet, read it. Maybe I probably had to be in the right mindset to be able to read it. Although I don't know, because I'm pretty receptive of certain things, I guess. Like if I can see the value in it, and I think I would have had I've read it earlier. I'm not even sure, but I believe things happen for a reason, and I came back to this book at this point in my life versus another point in my life because there was some more life experience I needed to get before actually paying attention to that book and taking it on and seeing what's in it. So that's all for this video. I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care and see you soon.